Number 2. Hello everybody and welcome to Against the Fence. This is the place to be if you're obsessed and passionate about the UFC. I'm your host JK and tonight we're going to be talking about all things UFC set 271. This is your aftermath show where we give a quick recap of all the events during Saturday night's main card. We'll also take a look at the updated fighter rankings from UFC.com, and then lastly we take a look at all the social stuff and see what gossip has been coming out of the Twitter world. So don't go anywhere. Okay, so let's go into a quick recap of the events of the main card then. First up, in the lightweight division, we had Bobby Green defeating Nasrat Haqparast by a decision, with 3 judges scoring it 30-27 in favour of Mr. Green. Then we return to the lightweight division as Renato Moicano defeated Alexander Hernandez by a submission. That was rear naked choke via round 2. Then, in the third fight of the night, we went to the middleweight division, a title eliminator between Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson, and Jared Cannonier came out on top via round 2 knockout. Then, in the co-main event, the big boys, the heavyweights, we had Tai Tuivasa defeating Derrick Lewis via knockout in round number 2 from all the way in rank number 11. In the main event, then, is the important title fight. We had Israel Adesanya defeating Robert Whittaker via unanimous decision, and 2 judges scored at 48-47 and 1 judge scoring at 49-46 in favour of the champion. And still, that was your quick recap. Let's go into the fighter rankings then, shall we? Cool. All right. The first fight of the night, Bobby Green. What an insane performance it was from him. I mean, literally stood on the outside majority of the time. He picked Haqparast apart. He went to the body quite a few times. Apparently, even post-fight, he said that Haqparast kind of got in his head a little bit and was kind of trash talking, and that just elevated him to another level, where he just looked phenomenal in there, man. And, you know, going into this fight, not going into this fight. After this fight, John Anik suggested that we could see Bobby Green in a 5-rounder, no problem. And look, I'm all favour of seeing that, but I'll give you some reasons as to why that probably wouldn't marry up in just a sec, because I've got some options for him, and personally, I've got 2 options. The second one is just one I've seen on Twitter, really. I don't think it's likely going to happen. But I thought I'd throw it in there and give you my opinion on it anyway. But my first option, I think a more logistical option is, you know, we want to see Bobby Green fight a ranked guy now. You know, he's come back with flawless performances. He did lose against Fiziev. But look, Fiziev has now gone on to make waves in the lightweight division. So, look, I think Bobby Green, back-to-back solid performances, he deserves a shot at a ranked guy. And my option is Brad Riddell in a number 14. You know, another striker, but he's coming off of a loss to Fiziev. You know, the guy Bobby Green fought, 3 fights ago now. I think it makes sense. But for me, Brad Riddell, he's, a typical sort of kickboxer. He's very similar to Fiziev in a lot of ways. But I think Fiziev, the difference between the two is Fiziev puts things together a little bit more and shows a bit more of an output, whereas Brad Riddell, he's very technical, but at the same time, he's a little bit more patient, I think, which could favour Bobby Green. But, I think Bobby Green will probably likely get drawn into a kickboxing battle with him. And, let's face it, a grappler is not really his ideal option next, really, to be honest, going forward. I think the UFC need to do him a solid. Do I think he'll be in a main event sometime soon? Not really, because he's not ranked. I just can't see it. However, this second option, which is from Twitter, some people think that Tony Ferguson would be a good matchup for him. And look, if Tony Ferguson's the ideal matchup, then of course, that could headline a fight night, because Tony Ferguson's a decent name. He's ranked in at number 7. But in my personal opinion, I don't think that fight even makes sense. I think as fans, we'd prefer to see Tony Ferguson fight a Michael Chandler, someone else who's in the rankings. It's going to be a bit more entertaining, draw a bit more numbers out. Or, a Conor McGregor, for example. Personally, I think Gregor Gillespie would be a good shout for Tony Ferguson. Gregor Gillespie, who's apparently moved that one spot according to the updated rankings, but he's tied in at number 9 with Conor. So, I think either of those options would be better for Tony Ferguson. But Bobby Green, I think the Brad Riddell fight makes sense. Unless, of course, he could very well get the loser of Joe Alves against Arman Sarukian. That's possible. If I was Bobby Green, I probably wouldn't want either of those. But look, Bobby Green is game as it comes, and he'd fight anybody. I even said during the watch along, I'd love to see Bobby Green versus Nate Diaz. That's the fight to make. That's the real fight to make. But look, Nate Diaz has got other problems at the moment, contract issues, potential one fight. Poirier, Conor McGregor, either of those options are going to be better suited for him. Maybe we might see it down the line if Nate Diaz does decide to stay with the UFC, but I can't see it being for that long. Let's move on to Nasrat Haqparast then. For him, I think he needs to fight someone like Al Iaquinta next. Now, purely because, Al Iaquinta's coming off of 3 losses in a row. Haqparast is coming off of 2. Both guys aren't ranked, of course. Al Iaquinta used to be in the rankings. Haqparast has recently been fighting those guys who've, he fought Dan Hooker, who is in the rankings still currently, and Bobby Green, who's just sort of outside area. Al Iaquinta came out quite recently in the media, and he said that he regrets choosing the Bobby Green fight, because he did have a long layoff, and Bobby Green is just, making waves, and he's getting better and better as each fight goes on. So, for someone who's been out for 2 years, it probably wasn't a great fight. I think Haqparast would be an ideal matchup for him. Striking wise, both guys are very boxing orientated. Al Iaquinta, on the other hand, he's a wrestler predominantly, so he has that card in his locker that he can always bring out against Haqparast. Could he get Haqparast down? That's the question. My second option for Haqparast is TJ Brown. Now, he's 16-8 as a professional and coming off of back-to-back decision wins against Kai Kamaka and Charles Rosa. So, both guys, similar kind of records. For TJ Brown, it'd be ideal to get somebody who's been fighting these kind of tough guys, people around the rankings and just outside of the rankings. So, I think that would be an ideal matchup for him. For Haqparast, on the other hand, you've got a guy who's, needs to take a bit of a step down. He's on two losses in a row. I think it makes sense. Get a win against an upcoming guy, and look, build up another win streak. That's what the game's all about. Let's move on then. Sticking with the lightweight division, we had Renato Moicano defeating Alex Hernandez, and Moicano moves to 16-4 now. I mean, look, this guy's performance, flawless. He just looked so much more comfortable on the feet. And compared to his previous fights, he lost against Fiziev, who just completely pieced him up and put those combinations together. And, he really just didn't offer much to Fiziev. Didn't really trouble him, really. But then after that, he did bounce back and defeated Jai Herbert, a fellow Brit, who is pretty sneaky with his striking. He's predominantly a striker, and he submitted him in round 2 as well via rear naked chokes. That's back-to-back submission wins now for Renato Moicano. Question is, what's next for him? You could, let's not forget that he also knocked down Hernandez in that fight. And then got the submission. So that is a testament to how far his striking is coming better. And he's just getting better at mixing it up together, the striking and the grappling aspects of the game. And this option for him, I feel Nasrat Haqparast could be an option. Both guys coming off the same card. Obviously, one coming off a loss, one coming off a win. It'd be ideal for a fight night. For Haqparast, like we said, he's a boxer who comes forward. Moicano would want to sort of maintain the reach in that fight. I'd assume he's the longer fighter. But, Haqparast is now coming off of, like I said, against losses against tough competition. Moicano has fought some top guys. Don't get us wrong. He was very close to beating Brian Ortega at featherweight. And, you look at his resume and you're okay, he's fought the cream of the crop at featherweight. Chen Sun Jung, Jose Aldo, he has a win against Cub Swanson, all experienced guys. So you'd kind of want to pair him up with, maybe a Haqparast who has been hanging around with guys who have been in the rankings and things like that, because he's very talented. And at the same time, I feel that Haqparast has got quite a bit of hype behind him from people who've seen him train and things like that. They think he's going to be the next big thing. So that's why he's been getting these kind of matchups. And maybe someone like a Renato Moicano, who has had, confidence issues in the striking in there, it'd probably be an ideal matchup for him. So I like it for both guys personally. But let us know what you guys think, if you think other options, or you can completely come out and say I'm wrong if you want, and I'm just coming up with bonkers, really. That's fine. As we say on this channel, this is a place for fan opinions, and fan opinions matter most. And we're fans as well, like you guys. But let's move on to Alex Hernandez then. Another loss for him. 2 options. Now, my first option is a bit of a fun one for me, because I picked a fellow Brit who's currently 11-1. So he's been impressive. That guy is Mason Jones. He's had 3 fights in the UFC, 1 win, 1 no contest, and 1 loss. He is coming off a win, though. That was his last fight. So maybe he's looking to test himself a little bit against some of the more experienced guys. Alex Hernandez, not been great in terms of previous records. I think he's 2 in his last 5 now. So, part of me thinks that fight could make sense. But then my second option for Hernandez is a bit more likely. Now, I wrote this one down and completely forgot he was fighting this weekend, and it's Jim Miller. He's somebody who's had a ton of experience, and he's been fighting guys recently with similar experience to Hernandez. Now, Hernandez has had some really good performances, and he's, I don't know, like it kind of makes sense to pair him up against someone with experience. He's like, Hernandez has fought Cerrone, really tough competitors, like let's name a few here. Just getting his pay. Thiago Moises, of course, he's been floating around the bottom of the lightweight division. He lost against Drew Dober, who's really tough. I think someone who's, Jim Miller's known, he's not out nonetheless, but if he wins against the weekend, I think this fight could be quite likely. And Miller is someone else who's 2 in his last 5. Now, obviously, if Miller was to win, that kind of changes ever so slightly. But look, I think it kind of makes sense. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, like we say, let us know otherwise, guys. Let's move on to middleweight division, shall we? Let's move on. For me, Jared Cannonier, man. Let's talk about this guy. He's moved on 2-fight win streak now. He's looked impressive. He's kind of had to overcome adversity in that fight against Derek Brunson. Beat Blonde Brunson. Who would have thought that he'd beat Blonde Brunson? A lot of you guys actually went for Cannonier in this. I fell for it. I went for Brunson decision. I just thought it was a more likely fight, and I thought it was a winnable fight for him. I'm just getting the chats up now because I've just been informed I've got the wrong chats up. So I got them from the last video. That's a bit weird. Ash basically chiming in. Bobby looked great. Should be top 15. So yeah, he's agreed with me. We'll get into Ortega Rodriguez a little bit later on. Okay, back to Jared Cannonier then. Like I said, overcame adversity. got taken down in that first round against Derek Brunson, came out there and just shocked us all, with those elbows, man. Clips Brunson, put him away. Brunson looked like he was a bit fatigued after he felt that nasty elbow. Definitely didn't seem with it, did he? Difficult fight. Okay, let's just read out some of these chats then, because I'm just gonna catch up with you guys, because we're gonna talk about what's next for Brunson. I'm not Brunson. Well, we will be talking about what's next for Brunson. What's next for Jared Cannonier? And Damien has come in with a solid point. Jared versus Izzy is basically confirmed for June. I mean, yeah, it's obvious. Izzy came out and said he wants to fight in June. It makes sense. He did that last year as well. He said, last time I checked, there wasn't a headliner for June. I mean, yeah, I think fights are still getting announced. Will get announced in the next coming weeks, probably. I don't know where we're up to in terms of the calendar, what's been announced and what hasn't. And he also says Apex Brunson is still undefeated. That's cracking. Yeah, you're not wrong. And maybe he might even try and play that card. Yeah, not a lot to talk about in terms of what's next for Cannonier. It's pretty obvious. We want to see him fight for the belt now. He has moved above Marvin Vettori in the rankings, which is kind of a bit odd, but okay, yeah, I guess it makes sense. And unless the UFC somehow want to test him against Sean Strickland, for that to be a title eliminator, but I really can't see it. It would be quite stupid, right? Because you'd be eliminating another potential challenger for Israel Adesanya, should Israel Adesanya defeat Jared Cannonier next. So, or, either one of those, you know what I mean. But, yeah, I don't think it makes sense. But as for Brunson, then, I've got one option for him. What do you guys think? What's next for Brunson? I think unless he might change his hair to pink. He might come out pink Brunson next time out. Who knows? Brunson versus Strickland, says Ash. I guess. I mean, yeah. Brunson's 4th, Strickland's 5th. I don't really want to see it. But look, it's a good option. It could happen because, that would get Brunson back on a win if he does beat Strickland, because Strickland's on a bit of a tear at the moment with quite a bit of a win streak to his name. Beat someone like Strickland and, yeah, okay, you could knock on the door and you could argue that you're next in line for a title, but is it going to sell? I mean, we'll get into that sort of aspect in just a sec, but the one that I wrote down was in actually Marvin Vettori, because it would be like a 3 versus 4 kind of style fight. I think it's more intriguing because Vettori can't climb any higher, let's face it. And both guys haven't fought before, and Vettori likes a bit of a wrestle as well. He's not quite on the level of Brunson in terms of wrestling, but I'd actually think that Vettori would be a lot stronger than Brunson in that fight. And that's the reason why I think that fight is more intriguing. Damien says he's 38. He needs the talk, to be honest. That loss on Saturday basically stopped dreams for a title run. Ooh, harsh words coming from Damien, but look, he could be right. He could be hitting the nail on the head there. He says Dana might keep Brunson around. Someone needs to headline fight nights. There you go. Absolutely. But, would you perhaps... Well, I guess you could headline him still. He's been... Yeah, even coming off a loss. Yeah, I mean, Brunson Vettori is a typical headliner, isn't it? For a UFC fight night. If I said to you, right, what is the typical fight night headliner to make in the middleweight division, you'd probably say that fight. Brunson versus Vettori. But will Brunson stay, says Sai? I mean, I'm not sure if there's any contract issues. He said 2 more fights, didn't he? Does that mean 2 more fights until he goes? He's got 2 fights left on his contract. Maybe he's got a foot outside the door. Possibly. But then, at the same time, he uses those 2 fights up and wins. Then he's got a bit of pulling power for the UFC, because at that point you think, well, Adesanya's nearly cleared out the division. The next guy in line would probably be Brunson. A rematch, again, okay, fair enough. Brunson's evolved since the first fight. But who would you pair Israel up with? So I guess there is a little bit of pull there for Brunson, if that was to happen. Let us know what you guys think of that. So I'm saying he said he want to live life, see his kids grow up. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one for fighters being on the road. You know, it really is. They've got to make sacrifices. They got to be away from their kids for quite some time. And, you know, you ask Dan Hooker what that's like. Because he has it worst out of everybody. You know? But, yeah, on the other hand, Derek Brunson is 38. Yeah, spot on. Damien saying, I have a bold prediction. I see him going Eagle MMA. Everyone's going to end up at Eagle MMA. Let's face it. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a new promotion. Clearly probably got quite a bit of money behind them. They're going to probably pay. Stocks can keep rising. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that happening as well. That's fair play. It's a good option for him. So, yeah, I think Marvin Vettori is a good one for Brunson next, if it was to happen. Okay. Let's move on to the big boys in the co-main event, shall we? The shocker. I believe the shocking... I think it's the most talked about part of the night, of the main card, which is why I put Tai Tuivasa on the thumbnail. I think this jump that he's made is much better to talk about than Israel Adesanya, in my opinion. I mean, you know, it's just the fact that he's jumped from 11 to 3. I mean, who saw that coming? I mean, look, if you look at the way that they've dealt with the rankings in the past, it kind of makes sense, right? If you beat the guy, this is how it kind of works, really. I mean, look, it's open to his interpretation. You can have your opinion on it. Should he have been put in at number 3, or should Derrick Lewis been dropped down a few pegs and then, you know, him just be sitting above him? I predicted that at the weekend. I said that would be the option. But then at the same time, if you look at the guys that were above Tuivasa, which ones of those ones is he actually lost to? None of them. Right? So you just knocked out the guy in at number 3. Of course you're going to go into number 3. You know, the losses that Tuivasa has had against Junior Dos Santos, well, he's not around anymore. He's lost against Ivanov, but Blagoy Ivanov. Where's he at these days? He's down there, right? And then Sergey Spivak. Like, where's he? He's not even. He's right at the bottom of the rankings. He needs to be. He's got chill. He's fallen out. I think he was at the bottom at one point. So of course. Like, it makes no sense. You would go in at number 3. But look, that's how crazy that this matchup was in the first place, that the UFC made it. Derrick Lewis requested a 3-round fight. Tai Tuivasa said, yeah, absolutely, I'm down for that. Let's bang. And look, this is what happened. I went for Lewis in this fight because I thought it was a more likely decision, you know, after Tai fighting upwards that far up. But look, part of me wanted Tuivasa to win, because the backlash makes me horny, you know? Let's know what you think of that. We've actually got a reaction to that. Oh, go on. Yeah, bro, go on. Sharp the reaction from the weekend, man. It was insane. Come on, bring it up. It needs to be. He's got chin. Oh, my God.
Lewis is actually fighting a man.
Stiff jab. Oh, trying his No way! Man, how did that happen? So rocking back and forwards there. Man, that was... I was so happy for Tai Tuivasa, I'm not going to lie. And look, how many fights is it since we've been doing this watch along? Tai Tuivasa's been on a tear. And every time you know, he wins, he gets that knockout. We kind of want. I want to do a shoey. Like, part of me wants to do a shoey, as disgusting as it is. But like, just to go with it, man. The guy's insane. The guy is insane. You know, Sakai was a good one because Sakai's a bit of a Muay Thai fighter. Ideal for him. Quite flat-footed. Derrick Lewis, man, puts the cherry on the cake. 3 performance bonuses now for Tai Tuivasa. Like, it can only get better than that. And look, we want him to fight bigger guys. We want him to fight him, you know, guys that will test him more, I guess. You know, I think it's probably easy to list off which guys would probably beat Tuivasa in this division. Let's face it. Damien says, I'd pay I'd pay not to watch Marvin fight, to be honest. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'll miss that comment, but fair enough. Someone who doesn't like Vettori. But he also says, I don't see Tai fight in the top 3 right now, right away. They will give him another 3-rounder in another co-main. Maybe versus winner of Tom versus Volk or Jars. Yeah. I mean, I think that, do you know what? Both of those options are solid. I haven't got Rosenstruck down as an option for Tuivasa. I've got 2 other ones. But look, I mean, he could potentially headline cards soon. This guy's selling his own shoey merch and stuff now. I mean, the guy's marketable. His management team need to give this guy a push because he definitely needs to headline cards. All right, I'll give you this one. So, Bobby Green... maybe not a headliner, fight night headliner, but I'd say let's go to New Zealand. Do Brad Riddell? Okay, Brad Riddell's from New Zealand, I think. Do Brad Riddell, Bobby Green, and do Tai Tuivasa headlining against one of these guys in the heavyweight division. That's what I would say. Do a fight night over in Australia and make that happen. Sorry? He is from New Zealand. Okay, thanks for my man in the chair clearing that up for me. Look, yeah, I mean, it's still relatively close. It'll be ideal fight for Brad Riddell in terms of distance. So look, that's my opinion. But options for Tai Tuivasa, look, his performance was great. He survived the early onslaught. He took a lot of shots from Derrick Lewis. So the guy's got a chin, right? I'm sure we would want to see that tested again. Okay, let's see what these guys think. So, Damien says, no way Tai fights in the Apex now. He makes the crowd flip. Yeah. Hands down. That's spot on, Damo. Like, it's right. You can't put a Tai Tuivasa fight without a crowd. It's just not doable. You know? You got to put it in a packed out arena. He'll definitely be on a pay-per-view again. Or, you know, do another one in Australia. Maybe they just decide to bring Izzy back and do a card in Australia, a pay-per-view in June. Tai Tuivasa will be on that again. Do it, man. Stack it out. I think it'll be solid. Ginge79, welcome back, brother. He says Tai versus Aspinall / Volkov next. That's, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I mean, because when you look at the movements there, Tom Aspinall is now in at number 11 since the movement. You know, Volkov is in at 6, so he'd go above Volkov without a doubt. And then, yeah, the ideal fight. I think that would be an ideal. I don't want to count out Tai Tuivasa. I shouldn't. But Tom Aspinall is a very athletic heavyweight. And like we say time and time again, you know, he's this new generation of heavyweight. If you want to get him into the top 5, you would put him against someone who's a bit more slower on the feet. Tai Tuivasa. Be ideal. And then you beat him. Look, you making arguments for a title shot. As Brits want to see Tom Aspinall there. I can't help but be biased. But look, that's my 50 cent on that. Damien says, I keep forgetting that realistically, I know it's not ranked, but we all know John Jones is metaphorically the top. In the top 5. Yeah. He's in there, invisible somehow. And look, we're still waiting for that though. We are still waiting to find that out. It's like the Miocic fight and with John Jones is just waiting in the wings. It's just there. Miocic isn't going to fight anyone else. John Jones probably isn't going to fight anyone else. Miocic, former champ, makes sense for John Jones. And for Miocic, you take out John Jones. You're already the best heavyweight there has been at the moment in the UFC's heavyweight division. Take out John Jones. Look, man, you're in GOAT talk still, even though you lost to Francis Ngannou. Sai's basically saying he's no doubt got half a division wanting to get at him because of his jammy jump to top 3. Yeah. I mean, it's true. But, okay, so my options in for Tai that I wrote down. Ciryl Gane. It's not a great fight for Tai, though. It'll be difficult for him to fight a technical guy / athletic guy in Ciryl Gane. Oh, look, I think I've actually put that in there because I'm a Ciryl Gane fan. And, yeah, okay, I'm a bit biased. Maybe I am counting Tuivasa out. I just want my boy Gane back on a win, and I think Tuivasa would be an ideal one. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't help but be biased. But that's why I've gone for Ciryl Gane. Because I don't want him to fight Curtis Blades. I think that fight makes me nervous. But look, Curtis Blades has got to fight Chris Daukaus. He's got to get through him. You know, he struggled against Derrick Lewis, a power puncher. Now he's got to face another power puncher and redeem himself a little bit. But look, I think Tai Tuivasa can fight the winner of Daukaus versus Blades. Look, bring it, mate. I'm all for it. Obviously, Curtis Blades would probably get Tai down. Let's face it, and just wear on him. It'd be the same blueprint as Daukaus. Daukaus has got heavy hands as well, but Daukaus has got great jiu-jitsu. Tai Tuivasa, not so much. So, Daukaus is actually a better fight for Blades, realistically. It's a tougher fight, in my opinion. I don't know. Look. Tai Tuivasa is great against the cage, I guess, in some respects. Is that as well. If you can get the clinch, can someone like Blades deal with him, you know? Especially when he lands those elbows. Damien says he will fight Francis in Francis's return. I see it December or January. Are you referring to John Jones? Okay. Maybe he's referring to John Jones in that, I think. So I says no, give him Gane. Can't give him Gane. Yeah, no, it's not a great one for Tai, is it? It's not a great one. No. Okay, so let's move on to Derrick Lewis. Stipe would be an option, I know, but I guess Stipe does need a win. It would increase his stock massively. I think it would make sense. If John Jones is not going to happen. Oh, yeah, Jones. So, yeah, Damien clearing up, he means John Jones, Francis. Okay. If you do Jones v. Francis, I'm all for that. Either of those options I like. I want. Give Stipe Tai Tuivasa, get him on a win, and then that increases his stock. John Jones, Stipe for the belt would be great if he beats Francis, or Francis versus Stipe rematch would be there, possibly as well. So yeah, I think that'd be exciting. Could play out like that. Let's move on to Derrick Lewis then. What's next for him? Difficult loss, right? Difficult loss. I've got one option for him. And look, he's expressed he likes 3-round fights. He prefers these 3-round fights. Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Personally, I think if he beats Marcin Tybura, look, I think that makes sense. He doesn't move anywhere in rankings. But look, he's only two slots above him. Both guys swing. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I think, in my opinion, is a more winnable fight than the Tuivasa fight, and I think it's purely based on height advantage that Lewis will have coming into that fight. I don't think Rozenstruik's just going to sort of plod forward, really, be a bit patient and look to counter. I'd assume that Derrick Lewis would have quite a bit of a reach advantage in that fight as well. I think it would play into Lewis's favour. It's definitely a fight that wouldn't be a headliner. You know, it's not going to be 5 rounds. So That's what I expect. Ash saying Viva. Oh, thanks, buddy, for letting us know what the score is. I'm not watching the game at all. So yeah, I think that's my only option, unless you guys have got another one before I quickly move on to the main event, because I should be moving on to the main event right about now. Okay, let's just head back into it. Let's get into the main event then. Sai saying Gutted Lewis is below Blades. How does that make sense? Good point. Yeah. No, Derrick Lewis should be 4th. Blades should be 5th. They've really fucked up there, haven't they? Blimey. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, no. It was a difficult jump to make, but look, I think I was right in saying that both, that shouldn't have been a large jump. Okay, let's move on to the main event then. Let's talk about Israel Adesanya's successful title defense, his 4th title defense against Robert Whittaker, beating him for the 2nd time. His coach came out and sort of and said he could still move and challenge for the light heavyweight title again sometime in the future. So, look, I guess the door is still open for that, because Izzy is probably close to clearing out the division. And there's not a lot of people left coming up. I mean, there is some people coming up, but there's a huge gap there when you look at the rankings and you look at the guys who are coming off of losses. For example, you've got Paulo Costa in at 5. He's coming off of a loss. Jack Hermanson, Darren Till, Uriah Hall, Kevin Gastelum, all in a row coming off losses. So there needs to be some movements in there. Imavov's taking on Gastelum. So a win there could move him up. Andre Muniz, who I think is the one to watch in the middleweight division, he's fighting Uriah Hall. But look, even if you beat Uriah Hall, you go into 9th. That's still not a massive jump. There's a lot of guys to get through, and that pack of losses that's in there, some of those guys need wins. Some of these guys need to be booked up. There's not a lot of movements, not fights made at the top of that division. Time will tell. We'll see what's in store. But of course, you've got Strickland in there, who's on a 6-fight win streak. He will be just behind Jared Cannonier in terms of the fights there. Ginge79, thanks for your comment. He says the only worry for Izzy middleweight is the unknown Chimaev. Look, stick around, buddy. We're going to get into that in just a sec with the news bit. So, we'll talk about that in just a sec. But, the UFC are short of contenders. They really are. Cannonier's next. There's no doubt about that. We said that earlier. And, but the question is, for Israel Adesanya now, is when are we going to start seeing something new from him? Because it is more or less the same. He's using his striking very well. It's becoming a puzzle that not many people have, no one's solved at middleweight. And he does look good. And I guess if it's not broken, don't fix it. We thought that Jan Blachowicz had the blueprint to beat him, but look, it comes at the bottom of the day. At the end of the day, that Jan Blachowicz was just much bigger than Izzy, and that was the factor in that fight. And no one has been able to replicate it at middleweight. I don't think anyone can. Brunson is a possibility, but Brunson's got to get back up there, and I can't see it. But yeah, when are we going to see something new from Izzy? Personally, I mentioned this at the weekend. I think it would make sense. Look, we want to see Alex Pereira make the move, man. Eventually, we're praying for it. Please, let's make this fight happen down the line. Because if that fight does get made, and look, I think it'd be a fight that we'll all be excited about it because Pereira's got knockout wins against Izzy. But I think it'd be an ideal fight for Izzy to showcase his grappling. Look, I know he would get slandered for it. He would. Absolutely. But if he showcases his grappling, he could, submit Pereira. What if? And then, he'd get a lot of hate. He'd get a lot of backlash for sure. But he could turn around and say, well, this is a mixed martial arts fight. This isn't kickboxing. Yes, this guy beat me at kickboxing. If he wants to challenge me at kickboxing, we can do it. If the UFC will allow it, of course. But yeah, it's a mixed martial arts fight. Who is the better mixed martial artist out of the two? It's got to be Izzy. Even though Pereira has bested him at kickboxing. Look, that's the fight I'd be more excited to see. But look, Pereira's got to make some jumps. You know, he's got to make some jumps. And we're going to see probably a fair few title defenses from Izzy in that time. So yeah, that's kind of my segment on Israel. You know, he just sticks and moves, counter striker at his best, pieced up the leg of Whittaker and made it really difficult for him. We'll get into some more on it in just a sec, but yeah, there's no point in talking about what's next for Izzy. We already know that. But what's next for Robert Whittaker then? I've got two options. Strickland, maybe. You know, however, I just don't think that would be a smart move for the UFC. You know, because what if Rob wins? You know, I said it earlier. What if Rob wins? Then you've barely got any contenders left for Izzy. Would you want to see Whittaker again in such short succession? No. So, you know, I think if I was Sean Strickland, I'd stick and wait. You know, but then again, he's game. He's so game, he probably would take fights. You know, and there's options for him at the top still. You know, a Vettori or a Whittaker. So, you know, I don't know. I think we're all kind of a little bit excited to see Strickland fight Izzy. It's a winnable fight for Izzy, in my opinion, but just purely because of what the Strickland brings to the table. It's going to be a marketable fight. And look, the UFC have just renewed Adesanya's contract. They're going to need to get him some juicy fights in that, you know, to make the pay worthwhile. Thanks, Ash, for filling it as in. Oh, are we looking good? It's because I'm not watching it, mate. That's why. Yeah, I'm just not watching Man United again. So I say Vettori looks good for Whittaker, to be fair. Yeah, and that's my second option, would be Vettori. You know, it makes sense. I think, man, I actually think Vettori will test Whittaker. But at the same time, I think Whittaker would have a similar game plan to Vettori. I mean, to Izzy in that fight. You know, stay light on your feet, pick him apart, attack the leg, don't get taken down. On the other hand, who's got better takedown defense, Robert Whittaker or Izzy? Bit more of an intriguing fight, isn't it? You know, if you're Robert Whittaker, stylistically, you could incorporate a similar game plan to what Izzy did against Vettori. But, you know, can Vettori get Whittaker down and causing problems? I like that fight. Again, that would headline on a fight night. It'd be ideal. You know, or a co-main event of a pay-per-view, of course. There's that option. Why would Whittaker look that far down? He's got no choice, Ash. He's got no choice. He's in number one. He's not sticking around for a title fight, is he? Unless you seriously get on the diet and you suck back down to welterweight. Don't think it's going to happen. I think it's time's too late for that. Too late. It's just, you know, and he didn't look great at welterweight either. Middleweight's better for him, and look, he's going to be the gatekeeper at number one, I'm afraid. It is what it is. But yeah, okay. So that basically wraps up our look at the rankings. You know, let's we've talked about the movements, and that's pretty much it. Let's go into the social segment then, shall we? Cool. Alrighty ho then. So I'm going to get this screen up then. Let's talk about our first topic then, shall we? Mr. Brown, have we got it? We got it on screen. So we've got... I got the wrong one up. This one here? Yeah, so Dana White confirms Israel Adesanya's next opponent after UFC 271. Adesanya defended against an outpointed Robert Whittaker at UFC 271, and White has confirmed that Jared Cannonier will fight the champion next year. Yeah, I mean, we've basically already touched upon that. I think it will be likely June that they make that fight happen. Israel has come out and said he would like to fight in June. He fought in June last year as well after the fight against Jan. You know, that fight was in March. So, yeah, June, July, depending on what the UFC say. I think that makes sense. Yeah, let's move on. So then let's have a look then. This judge one, okay. So, UFC 271 judge who infamously had Roxanne Modafferi beating Casey O'Neill is an actual rocket scientist. And that's the guy there. And so, basically, 2 of the 3 judges, Ivan Guzman and Kerry Catley, scored the fight for Casey O'Neill. Rob Alexander was the lone judge who gave the bout to Modafferi. Of the 19 MMA media members accounted for on MMAdiscussions.com, none of them gave Modafferi a single round. So, yeah, what fight was he watching? Now, judges should be accounted for this. You know, the commission should definitely go ahead and be like, look, can you tell us what you scored? Can we watch this back? And can you tell me why you scored it in favour of Roxanne Modafferi? Now, I've got a theory and a conspiracy of why he scored it to Modafferi. I think he went backstage. I think he had a bit of diarrhea. Look, it happens to the best of us. When you got to go, you got to go. Right? I think he rushed to the back during the fight. I think he probably sat on the shitter, tried to get an release and go, look, I've been away. Can I copy your homework? And they've just turned to him and goes, no, mate. Because, no, why would we let you copy, bro? It's not cool. You know, no one liked that kid in school was like, can I copy your work, mate? So I think they turned around and they said no. And that's why he's then gone, well, fuck. All right, I'll put down Roxanne Modafferi because she's ranked and higher and a bit more experience, I guess. Look, end of the day, yeah, it's funny, but these guys need to be accounted for, and I wonder what Dana had to say about it personally. You know, you just simply can't judge again, surely. Look, I would have judged that fight better, and I barely watched it because I was too busy setting up for the watch along. Like, I saw bits of round 3, and I could tell that Casey O'Neill was in control of the fight. So I would have scored it Casey O'Neill. So look, that shows just how bad he is. So I love it and said, yeah, rocket scientist. It's just so ironic, isn't it? June79 says, there needs to be a certain criteria met to become a judge. Fight experience is a must. Yeah, look, there is officials now that are Frank Trigger's starting to referee. But like I've said before and I've spoken about it, it's difficult because the pay just can't be that great, can it? You know? To judge. I want more former fighters to jump in there, but if you're a former fighter, the new thing is to just make a YouTube channel or a podcast. Like, that's the go-to thing because it's going to pay more. I mean, I think it's possible to do both. You know, I think it's possible to do both. I would like to see it. I think it'd be a matter of time. Let's fingers crossed. Let's keep his fingers crossed. Yes, Israel Ferreros. Welcome back to the channel, buddy. Good to see you and speak with you during the watch along. He says he probably did it to pretend like he was paying attention. Maybe he's just really sexist and just don't like women's fights or something like that, you know. I mean, I want explanations. That's all I'm saying. That's why I put that one out there. Because at the end of the day, it's just not on. Jin79 says they are making awful calls and costing fighters money, and the damage they cause is undoable. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of that there. There's not too much damage in this fight, of course. You know, I guess it would have been really shameful if it, you know, I don't know. I guess the split decision is quite shameful. It does kind of damage Casey's record a little bit. Yeah, I guess you're right. Ash saying they should explain why they gave the fight out of the round. Yep, that's basically what I said. Yep, top stuff. Rob's just a people pleaser. Look at him. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Let's move on then to our next story then. What we got next? Is it this one here? Yes, mate. There's a bit to read about this, and June79 brought it up earlier. Let's get into it, shall we? Khamzat Chimaev vows to make light work of Israel Adesanya after UFC 271 win. Chimaev vowed to dethrone Adesanya after the middleweight champion defended his belt at UFC 271, but Stylebender has since dismissed the call-out. And, you know, Funny that that's been a headline because Henry Cejudo chimed in after the fight and gave his words on it. He says, I don't even gamble, but if I was a betting man, Chimaev is the man that will stop Israel Adesanya. If Stylebender could beat him, I will shut up. I will apologize. But if that fight ever happens, I got Hamzat. He's a whole other animal. Look, I mean, it's kind of easy to kind of assume these things, isn't it? Let's be honest, because Chimaev just we haven't seen a kink in his armor, and he does look kind of unbeatable, right? So yeah, okay, maybe he could go up and challenge Izzy if he was to beat Usman, okay? Because currently he's ranked at welterweight. He's not. Yes, he's been in both divisions, but if you're Chimaev, you'd only return to middleweight if you missed weight in your next welterweight bout and, you tainted that fight against whoever it will be, if it is going to be Gilbert Burns. But I don't see it. I think he would want to dethrone Usman and then come after Adesanya. But look, here's my opinion on it. I actually think Izzy beats Chimaev. I do. I just... Yeah, he'll be the most difficult wrestler that Izzy has fought, but Izzy's so good at getting back to his feet and so difficult to take down. Now, yes, Chimaev is quite tall, and yes, he's relentless with his pressure and his takedowns, but look, Izzy's footwork is fantastic. And the style, when Whittaker rushed in, he felt it. I just think Izzy KOs him. I do. If Chimaev just going to come forward and try and shoot for takedowns, I think Izzy's going to circle away, keep the fight on the floor. Chimaev's just going to keep going and going and going. But look, he can't just shoot aimlessly. He's got to set things up with strikes. But I don't think he can do it well enough. And I think Izzy catches him and can put him away. But look, I'm all for seeing it. I do want Chimaev to beat Burns. Yeah, that too. I do want Chimaev to beat Usman for other reasons, because I'm a GSP fan, of course. Of course, I'm going to say that. But I just like what this guy brings. I just kind of like the wave. I do want him to get bigger and bigger, and I just want his stock to continue rising. And just, get popular and be that next superstar. Let's go. Wow, chat is fucking hell. Male cop, says Ash. Future triple champ, says Ginger 79. I think he's talking about Chimaev, of course. He'll be a double champ, says Ash. Ooh. So Sai's saying, I'm calling it. Chimaev has a weak chin under the big bot. Yeah, you said that many a time, brother. And is he going to be the one to find it? Yeah. I think Izzy finds it better than Usman, and that's purely because of the long limbs of Izzy. Izzy's not going to want to put a lot of weight on that front leg, that's for sure. Maybe he could. I think Chimaev could snatch a single leg still. By knockout, clip it, says Ash. Yeah, clip it up now, man. Might as well clip it up now, because in next year it could happen. It could be in line to happen. Because look, when we talk about how slim middleweight's looking at the moment, Chimaev beats Usman, that could be the only option. And the best option as well when you look at competitors. UFC want to get their money's worth out of that Izzy contract. Chimaev's a big name. Will be a big name, especially if he does beat Usman. Israel Ferrero says, I probably said your name. I know you pronounced it once on a watch along, and I've probably forgotten that's the way it's said. So I do apologise if I'm wrong. He says, Hamzat is 6'2", just like Jan. Jan is going to maul him, bro. Sorry. What is he? I thought he's like 5'11". Oh, wow. Okay. But Izzy's 6'2". What? Is he 6'2"? So pull that out for us, young Jamie. Young Sai. He says, Hamzat is going to maul him. Yeah, no. Okay, that's interesting for you. You know, and you've got the same first name as the man, Israel Adesanya. You know, oh man, I don't know. I just think it's gonna be difficult. I think a lot of people will go for, what is he, 6'4"? Wow, only 2 inches. It's not a lot. Man, okay, that makes me even more nervous now that I've said it. Look, man, I will stick to it. I think I'll stick to it still to this day. Still to the day. So, have we got any more news? That's all. We're up. That's basically your news segment. All right, let's bring it back in. Let's round this up. All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. This has been a fantastic Aftermath show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. You guys have been amazing in the chat. This weekend, we have got a live watch-along. Unfortunately, I will not be there, but do join Sai and Ash on the couches, should I say. Ash will be back home, so, you know, he might get a visit from Francis Ngannou in his back window. Again, if you know, you know. But yes, we've got Johnny Walker taking on Jamal Hill in the light heavyweight division. Join us for a watch along for that. That's going to be stacked. 5 fights, I think, scheduled for the card at the moment. Don't sleep on Friday nights, man. Join us for it. What time is that, Si? Can you bring that up for a second? We've got what else have we got? We've got the Fight League. Don't forget to get in the Fight League if you've not done so already. There should be a link in the description. And of course, Israel, you, my man, join us in the Discord. Hit that link in the description. If you've not got Discord, you should definitely download it. That's where the chat continues to go, to carry on. We've got 12 a.m. GMT time. I did wonder it would be that time. So, yes, 12 a.m. GMT time. I think that is... I've forgotten what that is in US time. But check it on UFC.com. Stay tuned for our tweets on Twitter. We'll be updating tomorrow on the watch-along link. So don't forget to set a reminder when that comes out. And then lastly... hit a like on the video, man. It's going to do us a massive favors going forward. I can't thank you guys for your continued support with this channel. You know, we keep growing, man. We keep this. This is our side piece. And look, you know, we enjoy doing this and putting on a show for you guys. And then if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well, of course, you know, because that's what's important. Right. Tune in this weekend. This has been a blast, guys. Stay safe. Good night. Take care.